This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social. I'm delighted to be joined today down at Miguel's gym with the body snatcher himself, Dillian Whyte. How you doing, Dillian?
I'm good, man. I'm good to finish training, a little bit of sparring, some pads. Feel good.
It's been a while since I've caught up with you. I think the last time I caught up with you was at the Lucas Brown press conference was the last time. So quite a lot's happened since then. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the time that's lapsed?
Just the usual, man. Just training, trying to get the big fight. There've been a few eliminators floating around, but nothing set in stone yet. Obviously, you know, we had the purse bid situation, but we deliberately went to win the purse bids because obviously it was 75-25. So we was like, well, we're not going to pay Pulev for $1.5 million, and I get $1 million, and I get 500 grand. Is it? You know, so we bid a sensible amount. But the problem is I don't think Pulev's people can come up with the money. So at the minute, we're stuck, a stalemate at the minute, you know, but there's other options there, you know, so by the end of this week, we should make a decision which route we're going down and who we're going to fight. So just be a little bit patient with us another couple of days, and by the end of this week, we will definitely have some fight news. Whichever one of those fights, they're big fights, so we're going to wait and see what happens, you know. It's good to have options.
Seems like every time I catch up with you, nothing is easy. There's something that's happened, either somebody's pulled out or like a mandatory has changed or something else coming up. Does that feel that way to you? Is it always, do you always sort of feel up against it with regards to getting the fights that you're looking for?
I do always say, you know, it feels like I'm always swimming against the wave, but that's what it is. Nothing is easy. If it was easy, then everyone would be doing it, you know what I mean? You know, and I'm a dangerous guy. You know, I'm as dangerous as any one of the champions, so these guys thinking, well, prefer to sit down and wait a year for the champion instead of fighting me and taking a risk, you know. But I'm not like that. I want to fight. I'm here to fight, and I'm ready to fight, you know. Because like Povetkin, he said he was going to fight me next, and then all of a sudden he said, oh, he prefers to sit down and wait for Joshua for a year, you know. So, but you know, I understand it's a business as well as it is boxing. Boxing fans want to see the fights. I want to fight, you know. But I understand these guys. They work hard to get in a position, and they know how dangerous I am, and they don't want to risk getting knocked out or get badly hurt. So, you know, it's what it is. Journey goes on, man, as we just keep pushing, keep fighting, and, you know, they can't hide forever, they can't run forever, so just keep grafting.
I think by your own admission in the past, you've sort of put pressure on Eddie Hearn, or you've certainly had conversations with Eddie Hearn where it's been a case of, look, where am I going, and so on and so forth. Is it still like that for you? Do you still get frustrated with the seemingly lack of movement to a world title shot? No,
you know, it's like we have a plan, but what can we do if guys don't want to fight? You know what I mean? You know, we're getting position, we're getting #1 spot. You know, if you look at all the rankings, I'm the highest ranked fighter across the governing body. You're talking about #1, #2, #4, and probably #5 or #3 or something like that across all the governing bodies. No other fighters highly ranked than me. You know, no one. People is not in the top 15 of this, not even in the top 10. You know, but I'm highly ranked across the board. So, but we have a plan. You know, obviously, things has changed. You know, me and Eddie, and we do good business. You know, but what can he do? You know, I mean, you know, you got a guy who's just below the champions, who's very dangerous. You're thinking, well, I might as well sit down and wait. That's what Stavern did. He sit down and wait 2 years before he fought Deontay Wilder. You know, so this is all, it's a length these guys will go to avoid fighting me. You know, these guys, they don't want to fight. So it is what it is. But we have our plan. The plan is to box 3 times this year. I boxed once already. I'm going to box July 28, and then probably box maybe in America end of the year or something like that. So, you know, it's frustrating, but, you know, like, the closer you get to where you want to be, the harder it becomes. So I know I'm doing well. Things are going the right way. I should just keep being busy, keep being fan-friendly, keep being in fan-friendly fights, and just keep building myself. And it's only a matter of time, you know. The world title must come somewhere in the next 12 months. It's impossible if it doesn't come in the next 12 months. It's impossible. So I have to just stay focused, stay motivated, and just keep training.
What do you make of the current state of the WBC? Obviously, Dominic Brazil is now somehow mandatory challenger. That's something that you were supposed to be, I believe, after beating Lucas Brown, or certainly moved into a position. That didn't happen. So what are your feelings with that, with the WBC?
WBC situation is what it is. I let people make their own mind and own decision about the WBC. You know, I'm not going to sit here and moan about it or cry about it. You know, it is what it is. Everyone's got eyes, everyone's got brains. People can see what's going on there. You know, whether there's backhanders or whatever, I don't know. But it is what it is, you know. Obviously, Dominic Brazil and Wilder is with the same promoter, so that, you know what I mean, it's easy for them to turn the wheels. And, you know, boxing is a business, and there's a lot of politics in the game, you know what I mean. But, you know, they're both with our laymen, so you never know. You never know. I don't understand how the number 2 guy can become mandatory challenger, and the number 1 guy has been mandatory. He's been number 1 for about 8 months. He defended the number 1 position. He's defended the WBC silver title. And he's had 8 to 10 WBC title fights. He won every single WBC regional belts that he's eligible for, apart from the world title. So, Dominic Brazil, I don't think he's fought 1 WBC title fight. Or maybe 1, I think, the NABC or some crap. You know, but it's boxing. These things happen. You know, I'm not the first guy it happened to, and I won't be the last. I just have to don't let it affect me, and just keep crafting and keep training. The WBC did say they was going to come up with some sort of resolution or whatever to agree some sort of workable term for me and Wilder, whatever, something, because they acknowledge that they made a mistake, and they acknowledge that there's a problem, and they acknowledge that Dominic Brazil should not be should not be mandatory challenge. And furthermore, when he fought Eric Molina wasn't eligible to fight because he failed the drug test, had to fight Anthony Joshua, so that fight shouldn't even count. So there you go. You know, he fought Brazil while he was under 2-year ban. So that fight didn't even count, and that fight shouldn't have even been a WBC limit. But boxing, stuff happens. It is what it is, you know. You can't cry about stuff, and you know, it's just boxing. You just get on, you know, like anything in life, you know, everything happen, you move on. You don't cry about stuff.
So with the situation with the purse bid for Pulev, obviously there's issues with the funds. They came in with a huge purse bid, and potentially looks like they maybe don't have the money to cover that. Is it Luis Ortiz if it's not Pulev on the 28th of July?
Oh, we don't know, but listen, I'll fight Luis Ortiz. Listen, I'm up for fighting Luis Ortiz, but I just want one thing for the fight, because let me break this up. What people don't understand is Luis Ortiz just lost to Deontay Wilder and a voluntary defense, and I think he was number 6 or something. You know, I was already higher than him when he fought Deontay Wilder. I was already number 2 or number 1 or something. It was voluntary defense, you know, and he's just lost. Why should I fight him in a final eliminator? Okay, no problem. I'll fight him, but Deontay Wilder needs to agree that he'll fight me next and no one else next. This is the problem with the Luis Ortiz fight. If I'm going to risk my position and reward him, why am I going to reward him and he doesn't deserve it if the champion don't want to put... same for Deontay Wilder said he'll fight me if Joshua agreed to fight him. And then we say, okay, Joshua agreed to fight him, then he didn't want to fight me. So I'm asking for the same thing in return now. I'll fight Luis Ortiz, you agree to fight me next, because I'll destroy Luis Ortiz. I'll break Luis Ortiz. You know, I'll knock him up faster than Deontay Wilder did. That's a fact. You know, because Deontay Wilder, all he's got is just one punch, is the right hand. He doesn't have a jab. He doesn't set his punches up. He doesn't throw combinations or anything. You know, Luis Ortiz is old. You know he's going to gas. You know he's going to get tired. You know, as long as he's not on his blood pressure medications, then you know he's going to get tired. So, you know, you have to fight him at a high pace. You know, he's an old man.
What did you make of Wilder versus Ortiz? Because I think general consensus was that Wilder came through the first real dilemma in his career, the first bit of adversity, and carried on. Is that something you'd agree with, or what do you make of that fight?
Go back to Deontay Wilder's 3rd or 4th fight and see he got knocked down by a journeyman. You know, like a big fat guy almost had him out. You know, go back and watch his 3rd or his 4th fight. There's a massive guy that's about 5'11", threw it overhand and had him just in as bad position as what Luis Ortiz did. Every single fight you have, you get outboxed, you get hurt, but you know he's got power, and that's what saved him in these fights. You know, these guys gas quicker than him, and that's what saved him. You know, like Luis Ortiz gassed and just stood there. It was like he was asking to be put down. You know, but it is what it is. It was a good fight. Don't get me wrong. He showed heart. You know, but Luis Ortiz didn't show the professionalism that he needed to show as someone with experience. Had hundreds of amateur fights. He didn't show the kill instinct he needed to. He didn't work. He didn't take a step back. He just hit. It's like he was like a deer in the headlights. He just carried on. You know, he didn't do what he's supposed to do as an experienced fighter to get the job done. And that's why now it's kicking itself, because he didn't take the necessary risks that he needed to take. Deontay Wilder was willing to take more chances and more risks than him. And you could see it in the fight. That's what happened in the fight.
With your position with the WBC, and you've seemingly been banging on the door for I don't know how long now, how frustrating is it, or what's your views with the very public and the very sort of protracted negotiations between Joshua and Wilder, with you sort of waiting in the wings? I mean, how do you feel about that?
It is what it is. It's boxing. These fights are big fights. I understand. It's frustrating as it is. you know, because Deontay Wilder should be fighting me. But I understand it's a big fight, you know, so you would get 20 million to fight him, you would get 5 to fight me. It's a business, you know, and fighting Joshua just as dangerous as fighting me, you know. So, and he knows, Deontay Wilder don't want no parts of me because he knows, you know, as fighters, you know that this guy, there's something about him, like he's a bit of an enigma. And that's what Deontay Wilder feels about me, you know. So he would do anything to avoid the fight, but he can't run forever. If he beat Joshua, okay, they might have another rematch. I might tie up the fight for another 10 months, but then I win my next fight, then you have to fight me anyway. Joshua wins, Joshua have to fight me anyway. So it's about being patient, just, you know, but it's a big fight. It's a fight I'm interested in. I'm interested to see who will win that fight. So I'm happy that they're negotiating the fight. I'm happy that fight's going on. It's a big event for boxing. It's billing boxing, and it's shining more limelight and British boxing, which is good for me anyway. So I'm not mad about the fight. I'm happy about it.
Do you think it will happen this year?
Could be late this year, maybe early next year. You know, with these kind of big fights, the problem is money and negotiation and people's ego, and that get in the way. But rightly so, they're both champions, but one champion got more clout than the other one does. So they're a bit of a stalemate now. It's just about, these big fights come down to small things like who walks to the ring first, where's the fight gonna be, you know. It's not even so much money, it's just little things. It's like, how much weeks drug testing do we want, you know, how much ringside tickets are we getting. It's little things that makes these fights not happen. So unless one person give a little bit and be realistic and think, you know, well, they both think they can beat each other, so just take the fight and accept the terms. Whatever terms you give me, I'll give you the same terms in the rematch. Simple. Make the fight happen.
Who would you mark as a favourite in that fight if it were to happen?
Well, you know, I don't want Joshua to get beaten by anyone else until I get a shot at a rematch of him, so I'll pick him. You know, and he's British as well, so I'm not going to pick any. I think only two people I want to pick over British fighters is Jamaican and Irish fighters. That's it, you know, because, you know, I'm British citizen. I'm half Irish, half Jamaican. Not half Irish, but quarter Irish and 3/4 Jamaican. So there you go. So those are the only, it goes in the order, Jamaican, Irish, British. So if I'll back any one of my countrymen against any fighter in the world, you know, and Joshua's a British guy. He's not my favourite person in the world, but there's mutual respect there because we're both doing our thing, and he's leading the charge at the minute, so you have to respect that. So, and I think he's a bit better boxer than Wilder, but they both have dodgy chins. They both get hurt. They both get knocked down. I just think he's just a bit more together at the end to Wilder is. That's all.
Do you think that because I mean, you talk about people like Bermain Stavern, who sort of waited around on the shelf. I mean, you're not doing that. You're not only taking fights, but you're taking risky fights. Do you think that it will work in your favour when you do get your shot? The fact that you're fighting guys like a Lucas Brown, like a Robert Helenius, which I don't think people really quite understood that was a tricky test, considering how the fight went. Do you think that's beneficial to you?
Yeah, it is. Listen, I never had a long amateur career, so I'm learning the job. As these fights is happening, I'm figuring it out in a way, and I'm learning and I'm improving the job. So these fights is necessary. Like Robert Helenius, 6'8" guy. People forget Robert Helenius has been in the ESPN Top Ring magazine for the last 5-10 years. He's a top prospect. He's meant to be the next Klitschko. He's a good fighter. He's the only man to knock out Samuel Peter and Lamont Bruce apart from Klitschko. You know, and those guys are tough guys, and he knocked them out. He was a good fighter. People forget. Robert Helenius had maybe 100 and something amateur fights. I had 7. I'm going up against it. And he's tricky, you know what I mean? He's a mover, he's tall, and he's awkward. So for me, these fights is necessary. I'm learning from these fights. And then, you know, Brown, everyone, listen, people talk about Brown now, but before the fight, 80% of people picked Brown to beat me by knockout, you know? Even people who was meant to be around me, and people, British people, they still picked Brown to beat me because, and rightly so, he was former WBA champion. He's got 22 knockouts. I had 16, I think, at the time, or 17 or whatever. You know, he's had 25 fights. He's going to beat Ruslan Chagayev, who was a top amateur, top world champion, only lost to Klitschko or whatever. You know what I mean? He's gone on the road, won fights. He's beaten this guy, beaten that guy out by knockout, you know, James Toney, all of those guys. So, rightly so, I understand why people picked him above me. I wasn't mad about it, but I know what I am, I know what I'm capable of, I know what I can do, and I know how much more there is to come. It's still probably about another 40% have been left to come in development, mentally, physically, and I'm just getting better and better. You know, I'm learning more, I'm understanding more, taking my time, more patient, relax, and just growing into myself, growing into my boxing skills. So, and I understand when people pick him over me, but I proved them wrong, and I'll keep proving them wrong over and over again. You know, but it's good. I like being the underdog. I like when people go against me. You know what I mean? I love it. You know, people have been getting against me my whole life, and I just keep proving them wrong. So for me, it's nothing. It's not, you know, like when I fought Joshua, everyone picked him to knock me out in 1 or 2 rounds. You know, but you know, that's as it goes. I'm used to it, so it doesn't matter to me.
Your performance against Lucas Browne, in my opinion, was the best performance of your career. How much of that do you think is due to having more fights, more experience, and how much of that is your influence of Mark Tibbs, your trainer?
You know, it's good. You know, the thing with Mark, he haven't tried to change me. He just trying to improve what I already have and try and add little bits and pieces. But like, you know, I've had trainers in the past who try to change my style and try to do other things when it's good things I was teaching, but not enough time to learn it because we got 8 weeks to the fight or whatever. It's not enough time to teach someone something or change a fighter style. But you know, yeah, me and Mark were Joe good. But experience is the thing. But listen, I'm a good fighter. I can box and I can fight, but I got a lot of fight in me because I'm that kind of person by nature. You know what I mean? I like to be that kind of person. So sometimes my brain go against my heart, and my heart go against my brain. My brain send me to box, but because I'm a fighter, I want to fight. You know? But it's just understanding yourself. As you get older, you learn yourself. You know what you are, or you think, how things work. You know, listening to people around you, listening to your team, your coach, and just growing in life, just growing and understanding that not every challenge you need to meet head on. Sometimes you need to be a little bit tricky first, and then you nail it. Or sometimes you need to go straight head on and then change it to something else. And that's like the Browne fight. The Browne fight was just me merging my skills, what I do in the gym, in the ring. That's all it was. You know, everyone that see me train, know me, know what I'm capable of. But for the first time, they see it live, you know. And then I had a live opponent in Lucas Browne, and I dealt with him the way he deserved to be dealt with, you know. Show him good respect because of the level of fight is and what he brings to the table, but then show my skills and my aggression and my power, you know, right? So you do with that kind of opponent, you know.
Moving away from yourself, Tyson Fury returns this weekend in Manchester against Albanian Sefer Seferi, I think his name is.
Who is he? Who is that?
I think he's the #2 ranked cruiserweight in Albania.
Isn't it like 2 cruiserweight in Albania or something?
Yeah, the #1 is actually his brother, who's 41.
Yeah. What do I say? I don't know what to say, you know. It's a bit of a joke, to be honest. Former world champion coming back fighting someone like that, you know. I'd expect him to come back fight a decent level of opponent. Obviously, been out of the ring for 2 years, so it's a hard ask for him to come back against top opponent. But there's better guys than that who could have come back to fight, you know. I wouldn't have come back and fight that kind of guy. He's former world champion, whatever, you know. So.
What do you make of his return to the ring? Do you think it's good for boxing? Do you think he's going to be able to recapture the form that he had of old? I mean, where do you stand on that?
I don't know. It's good for boxing. It's good for me. It's good for all the other heavyweights. Have another top guy back in the division that we can have top fights with, you know. So that's good. But I don't know where he's at. Why is he coming back? What is his motive? You know, how much drive he's got left in the tank. I don't know. So I have no idea. You know, if he can come back and be the same. I believe that when he had Peter, that was the best thing he did. Now he's not with Peter and Fury anymore. I'm not sure how good he's going to come back with. I'm not sure this guy that's training him, he have no experience. He haven't trained anyone. And it's just like, you know, I don't know. This Ben Davison, who is he? You know, who was he trained? What has he done? You don't leave someone that has experience. And, you know, Peter could get him in a mental state that he needed, you know. Tyson Fury is probably just doing what he wants to do with this guy. He holds a bit of pad. This guy probably laugh at his jokes. That's not funny. You know, a bit of a yes man sort of thing. So, you know, but we'll see. I wish him all the best, and I'm glad that he's got his life back on track. And I'm glad that he's doing well, and he's in a positive mental state, and he's back fighting. So, whoop-de-woo to him, you know.
That fight, that interests you in the future? I know now he's signed with Frank Warren, it's slightly more difficult, but still, would that be something that...
It's a fight we wanted September this year. It's a fight we asked for September this year, and he turned it down. So, you know, I thought to myself, coming back, since he's been off, I've made lots of moves. I'm in a good position now. You're a former world champion. We asked for the fight. It's a big fight. He turned it down, but I can understand why. I understand why. I understand why he doesn't want to take any risks and lose the possible big fight with him and Joshua. And he knows facing me, there's a chance he'll get knocked out. Prefer to fight Tony Bellew or whoever, but it's a business. I understand. I'm my own manager as well as I'm a fighter, so I gotta put my manager's hat on, and then I gotta put my fighter's hat on. So it's like, the fighter in me saying, I want to fight these guys. Then the manager in me saying, I understand. So I get it. That's why I'm not even mad anymore. I just try and just get in the best shape I can, try and improve my boxing, try and be mentally focused all the time.
You mentioned Tony Bellew there. Tony Bellew has been quite vocal recently about fighting quite a lot of people. Tyson Fury, one of them. I know he's mentioned your name in the past. What do you make of Tony Bellew as a heavyweight?
He's not a heavyweight. He's not a heavyweight. And the minute he fights a real heavyweight, he'll see the difference and feel the difference. But there's some heavyweights that it's safer for him to fight than others. Like Tyson Fury, not a big puncher, coming for a 2-year layoff. It's a perfect time for Bellew to try and get him. But if you try and fight the likes of me, young, active guy who'll punch hard and will be all over him like a rush all night long, it's a big problem. David Haye is not a real heavyweight, he's a cruiserweight. And the thing made David effective is his speed and his timing. But now he met someone who is younger than him and who's got the same speed, if not more speed, and who haven't got the injuries and the problem he had. But it's just another cruiserweight,
I think after Tony Bellew fought David Haye, you made comments about wanting to fight David Haye to end his career. Didn't really go down too well with a lot of the sort of the boxing community, as it were. I think general consensus is that potentially his career already is over. Is that still a fight that would interest you, or was that just something that you said in the heat of the moment? I
don't really care, because when other guys fight old guys, I fight guys who's past it, they don't say anything. So why are they gonna say that to me? Klitschko's 42 when he fought Joshua. No one didn't cry about that. It was 41 or 40 when he fought Tyson Fury. No one didn't cry about that, when Joshua fought Matt Skelton, no one didn't cry about it, It's just how boxing is. You fight the greats who was... Lucas Brown fought James Toney when James Toney was about 1,000 years old. No one didn't slag that off, But it is what it is, To progress, you need to fight the great that was there before you. It's normal. Everyone's done it. But I'm the least experienced of everyone. I'm the one that's learning on the job, but no one ain't complaining about those other guys, but they're complaining about me when I fight them. But it's what it is. Deontay Wilder fought Luis Ortiz, who's 1,000 years old, and they say, it's Deontay Wilder's most dangerous fight to date. It's not. He's fighting his granddad. So why they complain when I want to fight? But I can understand. Obviously, he just lost to Bellew in the 2 fights. So people say whatever they want, but, listen, punches are punches. That's the last thing you lose. Is your punch, you'll be able to punch every day you die if you can punch. If you can generate power, you can generate power,
Appreciate this might be a difficult question to answer given the mess that seemingly always follows you around. But where do you see yourself in 12 months' time? I mean, pick out match out your ideal 3 fights. If there was no issues with governing bodies, you had the pull to get the fights with who you wanted or who you felt you deserved. What would the path be like for you in the next 12 months?
Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Yeah, they're seemingly the top guys. So I may be Povetkin, Wilder, Tyson Fury. That's better. Joshua. Povetkin, Wilder, Joshua. There you go, Povetkin, Wilder, Joshua. Sorry.
I was just going to say you left out the Joshua fight.
Yeah, sorry. There you go, Povetkin, Wilder, Joshua. Those are massive fights. And there's 2 Olympic gold medalists. 1 former world champion, 1 current world champion in there. I just want to fight the best guys, man. Everyone's scared of a loss and scared of this and scared. I just want to fight, listen. What can anyone say? Oh, yeah, you did this, you lost that, you did this, so what? I went in there, I gave it my all and I fought. I went in and I fought, what does it matter? Sorry, people can sit at home and talk rubbish, but it doesn't matter to me. Ain't paying my bills, what they say.
Okay, and just lastly, Dillian, just want to have a word, if you will, about one of your ex-opponents, Dave Allen, has had his fight announced with Tony Yoka. I don't know if you've seen that? I
don't think there's much mileage in it. Dave Allen announced a fight with someone every week, whether it happened or not. Dave's a great guy. He's a bit like me. He wants to fight people. There's one thing with Dave. He'll fight anyone. But whether these fights happen or not, you know, but it's, you know, I don't know, man. You know, a fight I'd like to see is Dave Allen fight Lucas Brown. That's a realistic fight, you know. Maybe it's one we could try and get for the undercard of my next fight, you know. It's a good fight. You know what I mean? And obviously that'll propel Dave Allen right back in the mix, everything, you know. And I want to see him do well, and I want to see him achieve something and do something good, you know what I mean? You know, I want to see him win a British or a Commonwealth title, you know, and yeah, I would be really happy if he could do that, you know.
Okay, something I've touched on you in the past is your sort of, you came onto the scene as this kind of like quote-unquote bad guy, like the panto villain when you came on the scene when you fought Joshua. Now it's completely different. You seem to have gathered this kind of like cult following. I think by your own admission, it's sort of like by the way you just sort of remained yourself. I mean, how does that make you feel?
Listen, people always make their decision, and, you know, obviously, going up against Joshua, it was the Olympic gold medalist, a good boy. I was never going to be the good boy, is it? You know, obviously, I could have saved 1 million puppy, rescue 100 dolphins. People would still see me as the bad boy, you know. But it is what it is. It is what it is, you know. People's got to know me over time. They see me on TV more. I came out of nowhere, you know what I mean? I was fighting in a smaller show. No one know me, you know what I mean? Now people seeing me and get to understand and seeing more of me, so they're more, you know, they're more understanding. They're seeing that, oh, you know what I mean? This guy's just a normal guy that's just trying to make his money and get to where he wants to get to. You know, that's it. That's all.
Okay, well, Dillian Whyte, it's always a pleasure catching up with you. Thanks very much for having me down to the gym today.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Enjoy. It's always a pleasure doing bits and pieces with you. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Dillian Whyte.
Cheers.